Good morning to everybody. Today on 40 Day Writer, we're going to talk about labels and the power of storytelling to bust those wide open. Let's talk about labels. Lesbian, homophobe, Republican, Democrat, cracker, nigger. All these ugly words that we stick on each other, and they don't begin to describe who we really are. They describe one aspect of who we may or may not be. Those labels may not even be appropriate for us. Those labels may not be the ones we'd wear for ourselves. Maybe we want other labels. But when people label us, and they like to do that, it's because they're boxing us in. They want us to fit into a neat category, to file us away, to think that they've captured the whole of us with the words they use for us. But here's the real truth. We don't fit in boxes. We aren't single item individuals. We're complex mysteries. We constantly change. Who we are today has no relationship to who we are yesterday, except by the chain of a day. In 24 hours, you've met people, you've had thoughts, you've had dreams and visions that have radically altered who you were yesterday into the person you are today. And that's the power of storytelling, because storytelling captures the complex reality of a human being. It breaks down the labels. See, I believe that stories are the secret recipe to bringing peace to our world. Stories are what will save this planet from constant war. Because when you listen to somebody's story, what happens is that you hear their struggle, you see their pain, you experience their grief, and in the process, you start to see yourself in their story. You see your own pain. You see your own struggle. You see your own grief. And now, they're not just some label. They're you. Partly you. And you can't hate them anymore because you know them. And because you've seen them at their most vulnerable. And you recognize in them your own humanity. So now they're not a label anymore. Now they're a person. Now they're real. Now they're you. So that's why my goal is to help you tell your story. And even if you need to couch your story in the boundaries of fiction, that's okay. Fiction's not a lie. It's an agreement between two people that I'm going to tell you a story that isn't true in order to help you see a truth you can't see now. Nonfiction is obviously nonfiction, but if you want to tell it well and you want it to be powerful, then it needs to come from a place of vulnerability, of openness, and of being real with the people you're telling it to. You can't hide who you are. You have to be 100% real. So here's where I encourage you to stick with 40 Day Writer, to come back to the channel, to get your weekly or daily, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do these, but to come back, to view these videos, to share them with others, to get started telling your story, and to be known. Because here's the truth that I learned when I was 7 years old. When I was 4, my mother married this guy, and he moved into our house, and he began terrorizing all of us. He was physically, verbally, and sexually abusive. And for 3 years of my life, I felt completely powerless to do anything to stop him. I watched as he tormented the animals, tormented my brother, beat my mother, and terrified the dickens out of me. And I didn't think there was anything I could do to stop him. Who was I? I was just 4. I was just 5. I was just 6. And then one day my mother took me on a drive. And she said she wanted me to let her know if anybody was touching me in a way that made me uncomfortable. And I thought, here's my chance. Here's my chance to speak up and to make myself heard and maybe to get this to stop. My mother listened to what I had to say and thanked me and then let me out of the car. And nothing changed. For 3 weeks, nothing changed. And then I was alone in our den in our living room. And he cornered me. And I was scared to death because he'd found out. And he cornered me, and he said that if I ever talked again, our family would lose everything. We would be homeless, he would be in jail, and we would end up on the streets. And he was probably right, and I knew that he was probably right. But I saw something there. I don't know why it happened to me, but I did. I saw it. I saw that he was scared of me. He was scared of me speaking out. He was afraid of what I would do and say. And that meant at 7 years old, I had more power than he did. And I knew that meant that it didn't matter how long it took me to do it. I had to find somebody who would listen to my story and help me. So it took me 2.5 more years before I finally found somebody to listen to my story. But I did. And sharing my story changed everything. I'm not going to tell you it got better right away, because it didn't. Actually, it at first tore my life upside down and turned everything inside out. But that's part of the truth. When the truth comes into your life, it starts by destroying everything, dismantling the whole thing, because the honest truth is you can't build with the old stuff still there. The truth has to come in and rip out all the old bad stuff, all the stuff that's fallen apart, and all the stuff that's no good in your life. And it has to get rid of that first. And then it can start to build. And today, I'm able to do what I am doing for you because of what happened to me then. If I hadn't gone through all of that and gotten to a place where I could see that there was good that could come out of it, where I could see that instead of hating him, I could take the pain that I had been given by what he'd done and transform that into a tool to help other people heal and overcome their pain, well, I wouldn't be able to tell you this, and I wouldn't be able to help you write your stories, because I would never have figured out that my voice was my power. Your voice is your power. It's your power to break through to people who label you, who think they can limit you with a label, who think they can dismiss you with a label. You can reject the label. You can refuse to silence your voice, and you can make sure that your story gets shared. And the good news is, I'm going to be here to help you. So don't think you're going to have to do this alone, because you can come here and you can find the help you need to get your story out there. So happy Sunday, everybody. And here's to sharing your story and the power that you'll have when you do.